Local Podcast. My name is AJ Montpetit, and today my guest is my husband, AJ. Here he is. For years and years and years, he has been in the background of whatever I've been doing with my website, whatever iteration it's been. It's been Rochester Mom's blog, Rochester Mom, now it's Rochester Local, and it's time. It's time you had your time in the sun.
Oh, thank you. Usually I'm behind the camera, and I am the cameraman that almost fell over during Danny's podcast, which was rightfully embarrassing.
It happens, right? Anyways, before we get started, I wanted to thank our sponsors, First Alliance Credit Union and the Edit Shop, for our beautiful set styling. She did a wonderful job, thanks to Nicole. And you know what? This is Birdie. Birdie is our grandma dog at 2.5 years old. She's an old soul, and she just had to be in the podcast today. And we just couldn't say no. So,
she followed us downstairs and decided to make her appearance.
Yep. So here she is. This is Birdie. Anyway, how do you feel about being a guest on the show?
It feels great, although I'm worried about levels and lighting, so I will just spray and pray with all the shots, and we'll make it work.
Yeah, there's no one on the other side of the camera right now, so what you see is what you get with this episode, right?
Exactly.
Okay, first things first, diving in. Our last name. It's weird. No one can say it.
Oh, well, that's great because a telemarketer's calling when they say, is Mrs. Montpetit there?
Montpetit. So,
yeah.
Why don't you tell everybody what is your last name and the fact that there are actually multiple correct ways that you could say it.
So you can say it Montpetit, or you can say it Montpetit. Mm-hmm. So the last name Montpetit comes from Quebec, Montreal specifically. My great-grandfather moved his family down to Somerset, Wisconsin, mm-hmm. and then established a home base there. We have 3 clans of Montpetits in the area: Somerset, Stillwater, and St. Paul. And now that must be where I get my love for alliterations, is always having everything start with the same letter. And so my family comes from the Stillwater clan. And the claim to fame there is we have all worked at Anderson Windows, except for me. I was the first Montpetit not to work there, which broke my grandma's heart. And I apologized profusely as a teenager for that.
There's still time.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well, all right. Well, never say never, because that's when you'll end up at the Anderson Window Factory.
Yeah, maybe working remotely with their team.
Yeah. You could. You very well could. So, okay. How long have you lived in Rochester?
Gosh, it's been 13 years now.
I think you moved down here in September 2009.
9, yeah. So 13, 14.
Coming up on
almost 14
years.
Holy cow. I've been here a teenager.
Not quite.
Wow.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about what it was like to move to Rochester and why.
All right. So obviously the reason I moved down here was Becky and I met on eHarmony. And we had dated for 4 months. I had traveled from the Farmington, Apple Valley area every day back and forth, and Becky had done the same. And things were getting pretty serious, so I decided, I grew up, fairly blue collar, so, job's a job. Found a job here in Rochester and a place to live, so I said, why not? Let's move down, see how this goes. Of course, prior to that, Rochester was never a destination. I had never been here except for getting gas when going to Chicago. So I really jumped into the unknown with that one. And the story that I love to tell people is just how this role is Becky's destiny. Because when I moved here in 2009, and this is think about this, it was 2 years after the iPhone, barely any apps were even on the market. Nobody could find stuff. So what she did for me was 5 pages front and back, laminated and clipped with a ring to hold it all together. My own personalized guide to Rochester. And when I got out of the car, she's like, this is for you. I will not let you not not love this town.
It's true. When your boyfriend moves to town, it's kind of serious, and obviously you want to make sure that they really like it here because that's part of the whole thing, right?
Well, that's true, but it's not just me, because every college friend I've met of yours reminds me that when you were in college, and we both graduated 2003, you had a slogan saying, in 5 years, you're all going to want to move to Rochester. It's that great of a town.
It's true. So that's kind of been my catchphrase all through every year since post-college is my friends live in the cities, and if you're listening, you know who you are. I would say you are sleeping on the opportunity to come here. In the next 5 years, this town is going to be it, and you are going to be sad that you do not have a house here. And so it's just kind of gone on like for the last 20 years. That's kind of been what they've joked with me about. But I will say they know that I'm right.
Good deflection.
And then they should. And I don't know. There have been a couple of people who have moved here. But anyways, if you're listening, there's still time.
In the next 5 years, guys.
Anyways, all right. So jumping into your questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You're okay. Just calm down. You have out-of-town visitors. Where is one place you will absolutely take them?
Oh, man, that's always... So hearing everybody's answers, right? Everybody's had some really good answers like Corey Hill and Flapdoodles. I think the one place that I would love to take visitors is Corey Hill for sure, because it's just such a fun nature area going out and about. But if they're not into that kind of a jive, might try to take them to Tree Dome or Hidden Records, just those kind of fun little cultural places. I love our comic book shop because
Nerding out.
Yeah, nerding out. It's not just a comic book shop, but it's got like toys from when I was a kid, like He-Man and Voltron and Transformers.
Cool,
so it's got all that nostalgia factor, and you can find like these really funky like Star Trek The Next Generation toys that are so just hilariously bad. It's good.
And we know nothing sparks joy like Star Trek The Next Generation.
I happen to have a desk mat from The Greatest Generation, which is one of my favorite podcasts, where it's a cartoon illustration of all the Star Trek characters. So it's great. And I have seen me and my buddy Pete, shout out to Pete, have traveled to Minneapolis twice to see The Greatest Generation podcast live.
Kids, marry a dork. That's my best life advice for you.
That's because I fix all of her computer issues.
Fix all the things. And it's a lifetime of hearing Star Trek The Next Generation trivia. Anyways.
Now, I know better than to try to ask you what a Gorn is or, what kind of tar monster killed Tasha Yar.
Oh, no. Okay, moving on. Enough Star Trek. Best Rochester burger. I know your answer.
She does. And the fact is, the best Rochester burger doesn't exist here anymore.
I knew that's what you were going to say.
I know. It was the breakfast burger at the Loop, which was a burger with a fried egg, bacon, cheese, and a maple glaze for sauce. And it was the best burger ever. And maybe, even though my ancestry DNA, doesn't confirm it, I must have some Australian in me because I love a fried egg on a hamburger.
Yeah.
So anyone that has a fried egg on top option, that's my jam.
No, the Loop guys own 5 West. Loop guys, if you're listening, put the breakfast burger on the menu at 5 West. It would be great.
Yeah, I would not be sad if it showed up at 5 West.
Okay, so tell us, outside of the, oh, bye, birdie. Outside of the breakfast burger, what is the best burger that you can get?
So now that we don't have the breakfast burger in town anymore, unfortunately, my go-to burger is the Blue Duck burger on the bar menu. The double patty smash burger is with the brioche. It's amazing.
Yeah, and the best part about the Blue Duck burger is that you can get it at the restaurant and the food truck. Oh my gosh, it's the best. Quick story for my 40th, which happened over COVID. AJ orchestrated having the Blue Duck truck in our driveway with all of our friends for my 40th. So that was
the once a decade birthday party celebration.
pretty iconic. Definitely iconic. All right. What is one random eccentric fact about yourself? I only laugh because I could name 59 random eccentric facts about yourself. But what's yours? What would you say? What is the most random and eccentric fact about yourself?
I play the ukulele.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And what's funny is years ago, pre-kids, Becky knew I wanted to learn the ukulele. And for Christmas, got me a ukulele guitar case and a cutout of a ukulele inside of it with an iPad hiding underneath it.
It's true.
As a Christmas gift.
That's a good gift.
And I was kind of torn, like, oh yeah, ukulele. Oh, it's not there. It's an iPad. I mean, that's cool, but I think
that's when I realized that you actually really did want a ukulele, and I think you got one for your birthday.
Yes, I did. And it hangs up in the office, and I play it. But unfortunately, sometimes when we're working and it's too quiet, I get a text saying, "Are you working? Because you're playing your ukulele during the workday. Do you need some more work to do? I can give you more videos to edit."
Stop it. Where do you go locally for a cup of coffee?
We lucked out by Old Day being one of the closest shops. So I love that because he has some of my favorite drinks. The War Eagle is always a go-to. And I love his Vietnamese coffee. Yes. And one of my favorite smoothies in town is the goat smoothie that he does. And it doesn't hurt that one of my all-time favorite donuts is the Springfield. Yeah. And he has that there, which is the Homer Simpson donut, which is amazing.
I mean, can we just go ahead and say we love everything on the menu?
Yes, yes. And the kids discovered the joy of the, gosh, what were those called? You look through it, you click it, it's got the wheel with the images, and the Viewatron, Viewscope. Viewmaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Abe has his menu printed on the Viewmaster pictures.
A little white card that you click, click.
Just a couple weeks ago, the kids were picking it up like, oh, this is so cool.
Clever,
I'm like,
Abe.
Kid, those were...
Clever, Abe.
Those were cool when I was a kid, too.
Okay, AJ, you're going to a movie and you have room to sneak in 3 snacks.
3 snacks.
What are they?
Okay, so go-to movie snacks would definitely have to be Reese's Pieces.
Okay.
Because ever since I was a kid and I saw E.T., that was my jam.
Yep.
Which is funny because they tried to get M&Ms to be the candy in the movie, and they said no, thank you.
Yeah, I remember that.
Which was just...
real bad move.
Bad move. So Reese's Pieces. If I can sneak in another thing, Wallaby Chew.
Yes, Wallaby licorice. I always get that for you for a stocking stuffer and a gift.
Those are my favorites.
Soft eating licorice.
Soft eating licorice, yep. And then if I could, and they're hard to find, the blue shark gummies.
Oh, like the blue and the white ones? Yeah, you can really only find those in the bulk section, right?
Yeah, here and there. I got to check Hy-Vee because they've really bulked up their candy selection, and they do have bulk candy now. So
that's true.
I got to see if they have those at the new Hy-Vee candy sections.
I'm surprised that, I guess Reese's Pieces have chocolate in them. When I always laugh because I make a pie for AJ every single year. One pie for AJ every single year without fail. And it is the bourbon pecan pie from my culinary hero, Alton Brown. But I always laugh because AJ's pie, like, what's your favorite pie? Oh, I like a peach pie or a cherry pie. And AJ's is always like, I will take a triple French silk fluffer nutter butter silk supreme chocolate drizzled fluffer.
I grew up in a house that didn't eat fruit pies.
I know. I just laugh because it's just like putting some sort of dessert in a pie shape, right?
Thank goodness that I'm not like from a different generation with that guy on TikTok who makes like tomato soup pies and from the Depression and what's his name? Derek on TikTok that does all the old recipes.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. He's a good guy.
I'm excited though. He has a cookbook coming out in July. So free plug for him.
There you go. Best Rochester adventure you've been on.
So I've got 2 answers for that.
Uh-huh.
Best solo adventure and best family adventure.
Mm-hmm.
So best solo adventure with you was going to the Forestville Mystery Caves.
Okay.
Which is, I think, in Harmony?
Forestville.
Yeah, kind of in the Harmony direction. And if you luck out, Spring Grove Sodas is there and you can go get some freshly made soda. But it was such a great adventure to go down into the Mystery Caves and do the tour and stuff. It was super fun, super unexpected, and was a great day.
I think we woke up and I was like, let's have an adventure day. And I planned the whole thing out and you didn't know where you're going.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you've been great at that because you love the planning and the adventure.
Yeah.
And so I've just learned to sit back, relax, and just trust the process. And you plan it all out and everything's amazing.
So I think as a byline to that, I like to be the person who has I like to be the person who has all the answers. That makes me a know-it-all.
Captain Correct-em-all.
Captain Correct-em-all is my nickname. But I like to have all of the information because when you're like, oh, what should we do? This or that. I like to be able to make a decision so we can spend the most time having fun as possible. So yes, I'll have an entree of options on an adventure day, right? So we have all the things that we could do. To
where if we go on vacation, she knows the town better than people who live there. But okay, so that's one adventure. If you have kids, this is like our favorite trifecta during the warmer months.
Yes.
Is we go to Lark Toys.
Yep.
And check out the toys and see all the fun stuff. Maybe pet some llamas if we're lucky.
Yep.
And then we'll go to the Eagle Center over in where I'm totally having a brain fart here. The Eagle Center, which is over Wabasha by the river.
It's in Wabasha.
Yeah, there's my eccentric ADHD brain.
Yep.
And then third, to cap it off, you go to Nelson Creamery for an ice cream cone. And then hopefully if you play your cards right, the kids will sleep the whole drive home.
It's been a little... Actually, no. We've got car sleepers. But another one to add in there, if you're heading over that direction, you could choose either the Eagle Center in Wabasha, or you could go across the river once you hit up Nelson's for your ice cream. You can go up the road maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And if you go in the summer, especially in August, you'll pass by a sunflower field.
Yes.
You can take pictures in the sunflower field. And then just a little bit further up the road is Pepin Beach, which is so fun because it's right on Lake Pepin, the Pepin Marina. You watch all the sailboats come in. They have a swimming beach there that's right at the river. And during the summer, there's a lifeguard there. And so we've done some love Pepin Beach.
Yeah, we've done some double dates with families to Pepin Beach, and they were super fun.
Absolutely. All right. We actually took a quick break because...
with the magic of editing...
We had a little bit of life to do. We had dogs to let out, and we had kids to pick up, and all these things. So we're back. All right. So what are some changes you've seen since moving to Rochester?
Well, with 13 years under my belt here.
Which is the longest place you've ever lived.
It is. Ever since high school, graduating high school. It's the longest I've ever stayed in one place. Mm-hmm. Actually, my whole life.
Yep.
Yeah. That's...
wild.
Now I'm having existential... meanderings.
Just answer, what are some changes you've seen?
No, so some changes that I've seen, it's been a lot. And, I would say all good. It's just, it's slow. It is a lot slower than most people our age would like, but it's been positive. We've seen all sorts of amenities coming to town that help it be a better place. Mm-hmm. Simple little modern amenities like Uber and Lyft finally getting the green light to be here. I
just think about
art, culture, the other day doing the mobile sauna.
Yeah.
I got to hang out with one of the people that work at the library, and they work in the reference section upstairs. And I didn't even know that, and I was gushing about how much I love our library because the kids, we can rent Switch games, we can rent board games, we can, there's just so many resources available. We've rented a telescope there from the library so we could do some stargazing. So,
yeah, just so many different cool things.
I think the biggest challenge pre-Rochester Mom and Rochester Local was finding out what was going on in town.
Yeah.
And that, not just because I'm married to you and I help you and work with you, but I think having it all in one location has been so beneficial because before it was like, if you want to look for something in this area of town, this group covers that, but nothing else. And this group covers these categories, but nothing else. And you'd have to hodgepodge it together. Now it's kind of a good compendium of everything. And
that was an unplanned plug for Rochester Local. Thank you very much. But now we're going to take a break for a planned sponsor break. All right, and we're back. So we've got a couple more questions for AJ before we get on to our regular segments like stickers and news from the past. What Rochester event do you love and why?
Thursdays on First is always kind of like the beginning of the warm season. It's almost like
the kickoff to summer, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like our Puxatawny Phil, right?
I guess.
That's always fun. And, we've been here from the very inception. So when I saw panhandlers coming to Thursdays on First and people dressing up as Optimus Prime and the Predator, I was like, yes, I know, we've made it. We've made it. It's hit this massive appeal where we're doing that. That's one. And, it might not be like a big event or yearly thing, but I just love Roca and the full tilt competition they do every year, which is so much fun to see.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for a community that kind of doesn't feel like Rochester, I mean, like the corporate-y, bureaucratical side of town, I mean, they work so hard to make everyone welcome. Doesn't matter your abilities. They're even trained in like being able to help people with physical disabilities.
And for if you don't know, Roca is a climbing gym in town. It's called Roca Climbing and Fitness.
Yeah.
It's on the north side of town, kind of past between the 55th and 65th Street exits. It's owned by Jeremy and Karen, and they have done they've just put in so much hard work to make a really special place.
I mean, they even have yoga classes for women who are either going through or have gone through breast cancer that's free for them, just to have a place where they're not a medical ID number.
Yep.
And just that, if there is one thing about this town and the people that live here that's like a thread, it's compassion.
Yeah. Agreed.
And it's been really wonderful to see. And that's when I still remember this time when I was taking Evie for a walk around Silver Lake back when we used to live over there. And there was some litter on the ground. And I was so mad that somebody was littering in my town.
Yeah.
And I had to like stop there. I'm like, my town.
I remember you came home and talked with me about it. And it was like, that was your moment where you were like, all right, I'm from Rochester. This is my town.
Yeah.
You were so mad at that litter.
Yeah. I felt like such an old man shaking his fist. But then I was realizing that I had this innate sense of ownership of what this town could be, the future. And like we said, I've never been somewhere this long. And it was really nice to finally realize I have roots here. And I remember you and I with Evie, our first child, we made this decision to do the hard things. And there was a point, maybe it was right before Teddy was born or right after, where we were at a place where we could move to another city. And we chose to stay here because we wanted to do the hard thing. It's easy to leave Rochester and go somewhere that has like the nice things, the grass is always greener attitude. But we have the opportunities here to make change happen.
Or just be part of things that are starting. Or be part of things that are, new initiatives, bringing new ideas to the town and just like sticking around to just really invest into a place that has brought so much joy and goodness to us, right?
Oh, absolutely. And if people, just a little peek behind the curtains for my personal life, when I moved here, I was dead broke. I was squatting in a place. I was being flipped by one of Becky's friends, 2 weeks without running water, had to shower at the gym kind of situation. And because of the people and the compassion in this town, I am where I am today. I'm not an island that's a self-made man.
No.
I am here because of you, because of the people that we know here that saw my potential, that took a chance to give me opportunities. And I want to give it back somehow.
Absolutely. Oh, here we are. All right. One of your last questions. What's one thing you will always spend more money on besides everything because you love to spend money?
I don't. There it is. So when we were first dating and first married, I was undiagnosed with my ADHD. And so the impulsivity of spending money was definitely one of my personality traits.
A personality pillar.
Pillar, yes. So now that we have the ADHD under better management.
Yeah.
It's under new management as of late. But no, it's not. I don't spend my money like that anymore.
Yeah.
And I will always say I will always spend money on books and music.
Yep.
Those are the two things I would never have any problem throwing money down.
Mm-hmm. All right. Last question for you. Last question. What makes you good at your job? Maybe we should start with what is your job? A lot of people ask that. Set the record straight. What is your job?
My job is being creative. I'm a creative director for a digital agency that works in the forestry industry right now. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people question, well, what does that mean? What do you do? I have, with the curiosity and the personality of just a lust for learning, have been able to teach myself everything that I do right now. So I love being creative, whether that's building websites, podcasting, video, photography, design, any of that. It's just building stuff, being creative.
Yep.
And I think that insatiable curiosity is what makes me good at my job, because I'm never really satisfied with where I am. Yeah. Because and satisfied being like comfortable with calling it good enough. Uh-huh. I'm always trying to do better, be better, and trying to really improve the skills that I have. So if I look back at the stuff that I produce a year ago and say it looks exactly like what I'm doing today, I know I'm not doing it right, because I want it to be better today than it was a year ago. Yep. And I am extremely embarrassed by some of the first videos I ever produced, because they're terrible. And I just question why people paid me to do those. But
and one of the things that I love too about you and your work is an unnamed entity in Rochester back at the beginning of your current career trajectory would be like, oh, can you do X? And you're like, can I? Of course I can. And then you'd come home and spend all night or like a week solid looking up how to do X. So you could have a skill set, and they're like, great, thank you.
What I realized was I would be like 50% there of what I know.
Yeah.
Like, I can just Google it and figure it out. Yeah, it's not that hard.
Just Google it. I mean, like, I think I really admire that the fact that you're just so self-taught in so many different areas. I think people need to know that behind the scenes of Rochester Local, you have every video that has ever been made or produced for Rochester Local has been you. You completely have made and produced and edited this entire podcast beginning to end. All of the equipment that you can't see to make this happen. I'm looking at 3 different lights and 3 different cameras is just all part of what you've researched and known. And
I'm still not happy with the product, so there's more to be done.
There wouldn't really be a Rochester Local without the input that you've put in behind the scenes. So it was really important
don't make me blush.
for me to have you on the show for people to understand.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now we're gonna.
That's because I love you and support you and want to see you succeed.
Who knew you're gonna be on an Ushi Gushy episode of Rochester Local Podcast?
Oh, that's true.
Okay, so a segment that we like to do on the Rochester Local Podcast is going back in time.
What year are we traveling to? Should we do the?
Yeah, I guess so. We're traveling to February 28th, 1913.
Ooh.
Yep. So I would say you and I...
Do we have to talk like this when we talk about the news? The Titanic sank off the coast of the...
I would say that for you and me, we don't actually have a hard time finding things to do. We are never bored. There's so much to do in this town. But I have some articles.
Oh, by the way, being Ushi Gushy, the worst thing about you doing Rochester Local is I never have anything to surprise her with about the town. I'm like, hey, did you know about blah, blah, blah? Oh, yeah, I knew that like a week ago.
Yeah, that's true. It's my job to know.
She knows everything about this town.
Okay, so here are some things that people did for fun in 1913 in Rochester.
Oh, gosh. My brain is just thinking, what could be fun in 1913? What was the cool things back then?
About 40 young people enjoyed a sleighing party Monday evening, riding about the city for a fun time, after which they went to the home of Hans Larsen, north of the city, where an oyster supper was served.
Ooh.
The affair was much enjoyed. So, okay.
Wait, how fresh were oysters back then?
That was my very thought. This is 1913.
Like, I get it. Like, Eric and the Blue Duck crew get oysters flown, like,
fresh
within hours of being harvested.
But how fresh were oysters in 1913? You did not have air travel.
You had rail.
Put
them on ice.
Are we going to say, like, a week? Could we say a week for oysters?
Maybe.
How many people do you think got food-related poisoning at Hans Larsen's house on February 28th, 1913?
I mean, sleighing together sounds like fun.
It does. But, food-induced sickness from old oysters does not sound fun.
How long do oysters keep for?
I don't know.
I don't eat oysters, so I'm not really on the up and up.
Fancy costumes at party. Another headline. Right. Miss Nellie Whitten entertained the Midway Club on Monday at a Washington party, which was a much-enjoyed affair. The guests appeared in costumes, each being dressed to represent some prominent advertisement. A luncheon was served. Like, squeaky soap shall get you clean. Like, what
Coca-Cola now with real cocaine. Because 1913, they still had cocaine and Coke back then.
I don't know. Did they?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Anyway, so at a fancy costume party in 1913, they dressed as their favorite advertisement. What would you dress as your favorite advertisement? You went to an advertisement party.
Oh, man. Favorite advertisement? Gosh, you know what? It's so funny because we rarely see ads nowadays.
We say ads without realizing it. We're served ads on, like,
I don't know. I have all my ad blockers on, so I don't really see ads ever.
That's so crazy.
So if I were to say, okay, if I were to do that, then, gosh, like all of the sponsored ads on the podcast I listen to.
Right, yeah.
Like maybe you'd have to come in as like Honey. The extension. And somehow,
yeah, the Google Chrome extension.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Or, how would you come in as Squarespace? Or what are the other? Blue Apron?
Yeah, it's true. HelloFresh. I'd come as Fanta.
Oh, you could be a Flo.
Yeah. Okay, here's another one.
I'll be Jake from State Farm. Just come in with khakis and a red shirt.
What's he wearing? Jake from State Farm. Okay, here's another one. Entertained at birthday party. This is a headline in the 1913 news. Gunvor Gunvor Amundsen, entertained on Friday at a birthday party in commemoration of her 12th birthday.
Wait, Gunvor is a girl's name?
Gunvor was a girl.
Huh.
15 friends were present to enjoy the festivities of the occasion. Games were played and refreshments were served. Imagine
making the news
for your 12th birthday party.
That must have been a rockin' party to make the paper.
That must have been a slow news week.
Or, really good party. What kind of entertainment did they have, though?
Here's another one that just really got me. Clee's Enterprise in new restroom. Rochester grocer provides cozy accommodations for patrons. William F. Clee, the grocer, has displayed a proper spirit of enterprise in the solution of the restroom problem by providing his establishment an excellent restroom for, I can't read that, and their wives, farmers and their wives, that will undoubtedly be much appreciated by the many visiting his store and will be an allurement for many more. Mr. Clee has constructed a balcony at the rear of his store, which is easily accessible and where can be found a carpeted floor, couch, reading and writing table, and easy chairs, a supply of current literature on hand for perusal while resting or waiting for the completion of business transactions. It's a living room in a grocery store.
Because you didn't actually go do your grocerying? Did you give the grocer a list and they did it for you?
An excellent feature is a well-arranged toilet and washroom for the use of ladies and children, men you gotta hold it, who will be undeniably appreciative of such a convenience following a long drive to the city or waiting for the best of the family transactions for his business.
Well, see, we just use the alleys.
Yeah. The restroom and toilet room are open to all and till a long-felt want in that part of the business section. And Phil.
Well, I mean, think about this. Like, Downton Abbey was pretty historically accurate.
Yeah.
And this was right before World War I, so right in the same era. And that's when electricity was becoming normal in homes. Yep. And so businesses didn't have accommodations for their patrons back then.
This is literally 110 years ago. It's wild. Is it not wild to think about?
Well, I think about it like with the kids the other day. They were asking me if I had a certain game when I was a kid. And I said, guys, we didn't even have cell phones. Like, the internet didn't exist.
Right.
Cell phones didn't exist. They weren't invented yet. And that kind of took a while to like grasp like all of this infrastructure, all this stuff. And it's just so wild when you think about from Kitty Hawk to the moon landing was only 65 years.
That's true.
And you're like, holy cow, how much has happened?
News, 110 years ago, the news was at a grocery store, got a restroom.
Yeah. And a 12-year-old girl had a really good party for her birthday.
Life has changed so much.
Yeah. A lot for the better.
Yeah. All right. So now that we've talked about the news from 1913, the last part that we like to do on the Rochester Local Podcast is promote local organizations and businesses by adding their sticker to our sticker board. All right. So here we go. So we've had 4 guests on before AJ, and they've all added a sticker. So we have Your Original Design. We have Chateau Theater. We have Mid-Modities, and we have Choo Choo Ka-Choo. What are you putting on?
All right. For today, I am choosing to represent the Art Center with their Total Arts Day Camp.
Oh, yes. We love Total Arts Day Camp. This is perfect for kids. They've got summer camps. Sometimes during the winter, they always have a winter break camp, but it is a perfect opportunity for kids who love creativity, who love to create, who are artistic, or even kids who aren't, just to explore, if they're interested in that. Total Arts Day Camp is at the Rochester Art Center and just takes kids through lots of different projects. Our daughter loves it.
And just as another free plug, every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Yep.
Usually, they have an open art day.
Yeah.
They open up the art studio. It's $5 for adults, free for kids. And honestly, it's just so much fun to just go hang out for a couple hours, do art together with the kids. in a real art studio.
Yep.
It's a blast.
Super, super fun. So anyways, there's our little plug for Total Arts Day Camp. So anyways, I have loved having my husband AJ on the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.
You are welcome, and thank you for having me.
And thanks so much in advance for editing this.
This is going to be the most heavily edited episode with all of the interruptions, dogs, and children.
Oh, but it's been so fun.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being on, and we will see you next time.